Republican problem or a Democratic problem. At this stage, this is an American problem, and we're all going to have to chip in and do the hard work that's required and what the American people expect of us. Over the last few weeks, our economic crisis has only grown deeper. 2 million Americans have now lost their jobs over the last year. We have a substantial number. In fact, Christina Romer, our economist from the Council of Economic Advisors, indicates to me that in addition to the 2 million who've lost jobs, so you've got 2.8 million who have moved from full-time work to part-time work. So when you start counting in people who are underemployed, then the situation is very dire for American families. But we also have to recognize that if we're going to grow this economy over the long term, if we're going to create a better future for our children and our grandchildren, then we can't be fiscally irresponsible about how we do it. And so we have been in deep conversations and will continue over the next several weeks to shape our recovery and reinvestment package alongside very concrete, serious plans for midterm and long-term fiscal discipline. And that is something that we will also be presenting to the American people as well as leadership on Capitol Hill. So I'm looking forward to meeting with both Democrats and Republicans this afternoon. My expectation is that they will share the same sense of urgency that I do, that we are going to move quickly, that we're not going to get bogged down in a lot of old-style politics on either side. There's not going to be a lot of finger-pointing or posturing. The American people need action now. That's what I intend to provide as President of the United States. So with that, let me take a couple of questions. Christy, I'll start with you.
Thank you. How fast does this plan need to move to passage? And in moving swiftly and boldly, are you concerned at all about sacrificing transparency and the full examination of the process? And also, if you don't mind, could you also talk about the extent to which the tax cut part of this plan is a political tool for getting it passed?
Well, let me take the second question first. Some of you, at least, were following the campaign. And for the last 2 years, I've talked about the need for middle-class tax cuts. So the notion that me wanting to include relief for working families in this plan is somehow a political ploy when this was a centerpiece of my economic plan for the last 2 years doesn't make too much sense. In a bad situation, there is a happy convergence between what I had pledged during the campaign and what's required for the economy right now, to put more money into the pockets of ordinary Americans who are more insecure about their jobs, who are continuing to see rising costs in areas like health care, who are struggling to make ends meet. We think it is very important to have a balanced recovery and reinvestment package. Part of it is going to be addressing consumers and making sure they've got money in their pockets. Part of it is to provide incentives for businesses so that they start investing in plants and equipment that ultimately lead to jobs. Part of it is going to be investing in the kinds of job-creating growth industries of the future, whether it's health IT, whether it's energy, that assure economic competitiveness over the long term. So I wouldn't separate any of these parts. They're all of a piece. And as far as your first question, we are confident that we can accomplish unprecedented transparency even as we move this package forward. Not only will Congress know exactly what's in this bill, but we're exploring steps, for example, like putting on a website very detailed information about all the projects that are taking place, what kind of impact we expect them to have, what kinds of job growth we hope to generate as a consequence of any of the discrete items that we're putting forward.
Sir,
Yes.
good afternoon, sir. To what extent has the violence in the Middle East distracted your team on the economic plan? And is the deadline for the stimulus, are you still hoping for, has it slipped to February, into February?
Well, as I said before, I strongly believe that a president or a president-elect or his team should be able to do more than one thing at a time. And so, obviously, international affairs are of deep concern. With the situation in Gaza, I've been getting briefed every day. I've had consistent conversations with members of the current administration about what's taking place. That will continue. I will continue to insist that when it comes to foreign affairs, it is particularly important to adhere to the principle of one president at a time, because there are delicate negotiations taking place right now, and we can't have two voices coming out of the United States when you have so much at stake. With respect to the timetable for the economic recovery and reinvestment plan, we are going to do most of this work this month. And we're not waiting. The reason I'm here today is that we are going to present our latest ideas to Congress. We expect them to begin this week on this process, and I expect to sign a bill to create 3 million jobs for the American people shortly after I get inaugurated. Okay.
Sir, what do you mean by shortly after?
Well, look, there are only so many days in the legislative process, and it's going to take some time, even on an expedited schedule, to get a bill passed and on my desk. But we anticipate that by the end of January or the first week in February, we have gotten the bulk of this done.
Thanks, guys. We got to get to the Hill.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.